All right, guys. So next week is probably going to be a wild week, okay? Because as we know, the Derek Chauvin / George Floyd trial has been going on all of the last 2 weeks, in which, it's been pretty emotional, okay? And I've watched some of it, but I'm not one of those guys that's going to come up here and pretend like, I know what's going to happen or going to lead people on as to what will happen in this situation. Because quite honestly, guys, I don't know. Right, I think there are arguments to be made on both sides. I think both sides have legitimate arguments, and again, I honestly really just don't know. Okay, and regardless of the outcome, I'll probably be okay with it. It could go either way for me, right? Whether or not they choose to charge him with second degree, third degree murder, or manslaughter, right? Or they choose to acquit him of all charges. Again, either way, I'm cool with it. Okay, like I have faith in the justice system, and that's why I stand. Okay, because quite honestly, I just don't know, right? And I'm not afraid to admit when I just don't know. So that's why I really haven't talked about it that much, because I really don't want to lead people on to think that something's gonna happen, and I really don't know if it's gonna happen. Okay, so that's kind of my position on this. However, unfortunately for some people, it's not, right? In particular, next week seems to be like it's going to be a crazy week, because we have some Democrats out in the street like Maxine Waters, who is basically encouraging people to protest in the street and to quote unquote get confrontational if they don't like the result of the trial. Okay, and this is standard Democrat playbook. If we don't get what we want, we cry like babies, right? Standard Democrat playbook. So Maxine Waters was at the Brooklyn Center protesting, and she was asked what should happen if the woke revolutionaries don't get their way when it comes to the outcome of this trial. Take a listen.
Reform. And so, yes, I would like to see the bill in Congress pass on police reform, but I know that the right wing, the racists, are opposed to it, and I don't know what's going to happen to it. But I know this: we've got to stay in the street, and we've got to demand justice.
As a black man, despite all of the efforts, I feel like nothing changes. And George Floyd is waking so many people up, yet nothing has happened. Despite the rhetoric, like what needs to happen that's different this year than all the years before?
We're looking for a guilty verdict. We're looking for a guilty verdict. And we're looking to see if all of the talk that took place and has been taking place after they saw what happened to George Floyd, if nothing does not happen, then we know that we've got to not only stay in the street, but we've got to fight for justice. But I am very hopeful, and I hope that we're going to get a verdict that will say guilty, guilty, guilty. And if we don't, we cannot go away.
And not just manslaughter, right? I mean...
Oh, no, not manslaughter. No. This is guilty for murder. I don't know whether it's in the first degree, but as far as I'm concerned, it's first degree murder.
Congresswoman, what happens if we do not get what you just told? What should the people do? What should protesters on the street do?
I didn't hear you.
What happens?
What should protesters do?
Well, we got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
What do you think about this curfew tonight?
All right, guys. So the first thing to address, she talked about how the racist right wing doesn't want police reform, except Tim Scott literally pushed for police reform last summer after the whole George Floyd incident in the first place, right? And Republicans, including Mitch McConnell and President Trump, were all 100% behind this bill, okay? And Tim Scott's bill focused on more transparency in regards to the use of force. Like I've showed you guys in some of my last videos, right, about this stuff. The main problem with policing, okay, and trying to actually determine if there's an issue in regards to race is the lack of data. Okay, we have so many different police departments across the country that are not all built and equipped the same way, right? In regards to being able to collect data about use of force. Tim Scott's police bill would try to add a level of transparency to that so we can actually collect more data about these incidents and then make more policy in the future. It would also strengthen training methods in regards to de-escalation tactics. Okay, so it would help strengthen training for police officers. It would also require police officers to use more body cameras, right? Make sure every police officer is equipped with a body camera. It would collect data on no-knock warrant. It would also make lynching a federal crime. Okay, this is the natural first step to solving the problem. Okay, that's the natural first step. And if you read the studies about police use of force, most of them should acknowledge, if they're being honest, that, okay, yeah, the data that we have is not perfect. Okay, it's a little shoddy. It's really hard to come to a solid conclusion about what's going on. But see, the Democrats didn't want to do that. They don't like taking common sense first steps. They want to just reform the whole system. And some of them want to just disarm the police. They want to abolish the police, right? The extremists in the Democrat Party. And it sounds to me like, you know, Maxine Waters may be one of those extremists, okay? She wants to take police out of poor neighborhoods while she lives in her cozy $6 million house. But again, this is par for the course with politicians. And Tim Scott, again, who, you know, is a black senator, proposed this. The Republicans got behind it, and the Democrats filibustered it. So obviously, you don't want police reform. You only want police reform if it's your version of it. Or maybe you only want it if you're passing it, because you're afraid that the Republicans are going to get credit. Listen, the Democrats, all they have to do, right, if they felt like Tim Scott's bill wasn't enough, literally all they had to do is be like, you know what? We will go ahead and do this now because Tim Scott's bill definitely, helps with more transparency. Okay. We don't think it goes far enough, but if we so happen to gain power, we will do more. That's literally the approach to take. But see, they didn't take that approach. Why? Because they don't want Republicans getting credit for anything. And this is what I hate about politics, guys. This is what I hate about politics. Both sides can agree on something. And in theory, something should get done, but nothing will get done because neither side wants to give the side that's in power credit for actually getting it done, which means nothing will get done. And that's literally what's happening with this police stuff. I 100% agree with the Republican position. Let's collect more data, right? In the meantime, let's incentivize these police departments to not use certain chokeholds and certain amounts of use of force, right? While at the same time collecting more data, taking a more conservative approach to the issue. Once we have the data and we do more studies on this stuff, okay, we can make more policy down the road. That's the responsible thing to do. Democrats don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. Okay. So the second thing here, the obvious thing, when asked about what should they do if they don't get the outcome that they want from this trial, she says that they need to be in the streets and get more confrontational. What does that sound like, guys? Seriously, no, what does that sound like? That sounds like she's encouraging people to riot and protest in the streets if they don't get the outcome that they want. If Derek Chauvin is acquitted, right? And he can't be found guilty of manslaughter. He has to be found guilty of murder. Okay? If he's not found guilty of murder, then you have to protest and riot in the streets. That's what Maxine Waters is saying. And see, this is what pisses me off about Democrats. They lectured Republicans in the right about the whole Capitol thing, which, again, I think what happened at the Capitol was wrong. I don't think any conservative condones what happened at the Capitol. We all denounce violence. None of us want violence. But they lectured the right on this about promoting violence and using irresponsible rhetoric. And the leftists, what they said is that, hey, you guys are just mad about the election outcome, okay? And that is no excuse for what happened at the Capitol. And I would say, yes, that is a fair argument. You're right. It's not an excuse for what happened at the Capitol. But see, they let people like Maxine Waters go out there and say this type of stuff that, well, if we don't get the outcome we like from this trial, then we got to get more confrontational. How do you think people are going to interpret that? And what do you think is going to happen? You have a politician, guys, setting the stage for innocent people to get hurt. Okay? Innocent people who are most likely to be people of color, people that they claim they care about, are most likely going to get hurt, going to have some confrontations with the police that's going to end up with, again, either more people being killed, okay, or something tragic happening, because people like Maxine Waters, who lives in her comfy $6 million house in California, not even in Minnesota, in California, is going out here saying reckless things like this. But you're not going to hear any Democrats denounce this. You'll never hear the Democrats ask, should Maxine Waters be removed? Should she be stripped of her committee assignments in Congress, right? How can she be the chair of the Financial Services Committee? How can she have a leadership position within Congress with this type of rhetoric and this type of language? Why should she be allowed in Congress at all? They stripped Marjorie Taylor Greene of her committee assignments for stuff that she said before she even got in office. She wasn't even in office when she said it. Maxine Waters has been in office for God knows how long, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Okay, obviously that's an exaggeration, but you get my point. Should Maxine Waters be censored from social media? Should we take down Maxine Waters' Twitter account, her Instagram, her Facebook, her way of communicating with the world? Because obviously what she's saying is dangerous. Obviously what she's doing is she is inciting violence, because she's telling people to get more confrontational if they don't get the outcome that they like. She's not going out there telling people, hey guys, even if we don't get the outcome that we like, listen, it's probably best that, we don't get violent, that everything remains peaceful, and that, we try to work to create the change that we want to see within the system. She doesn't say that. That's what a responsible politician would say. But see, imagine if Trump was to say something like, hey, if I don't get the outcome that I like, we need to get more confrontational. How do y'all think these people react? They would be going cuckoo for Cocoa Puff bananas. It would be front page news, CNN, MSNBC. Trump said get more confrontational. Is this white supremacy? This is a dog whistle. That's what they would be saying. And it's so predictable. The hypocrisy and the double standard is literally outrageous. It really is. It's insane. People like myself, I want to see peace, right? I don't want to see violence. Okay, I'm calling for nonviolence. But yet, people on the right who don't want to see violence, right? Who tell people that, hey, listen, you probably shouldn't be resisting arrest because, we don't want you to lose your life. Oh, those people are racist. They don't care about black people. They don't care about black community. The people that are actually out here giving real practical advice, saying things that are going to keep people calm and encouraging people to act in an orderly fashion, right? And to obey the rules and follow laws. Oh, those people are the violent people, right? They're the racists. But not the people like Maxine Waters, who literally are telling people that they have to get confrontational if they don't get what they want. Who are they going to get confrontational with? The police. Duh. Who else is there? Who else is there for them to get confrontational with? And what do you think is going to be the likely outcome? Republicans need to grow a backbone and call for her to be removed from her committee, and maybe even removed from Congress, straight up. Because the Democrats set the standard that if you use rhetoric that people can interpret as incitement of violence, then you should be removed. The Democrats set that standard. Republicans didn't, Democrats did. And if Republicans were smart and they had a backbone, they would turn it around on Democrats. Even if it doesn't work, I would talk about that to the media until their face turns blue. I would be on every single network. MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. I'm going on every single network. I'm playing this clip and I'm saying Maxine Waters needs to be removed because of this. If Trump should be removed because of the things that he said, she has to be removed. That's fair. At the very least, we need to have a trial, right? Because she is gaslighting people to protest and riot in the streets if they don't get the outcome they want from this trial, and it's going to cause a lot of people to get hurt. And that's not something that I want to see. That's not something our politicians should want to see, and that's not something that the American people want to see. So Republicans need to take advantage of this, because this type of language from Maxine Waters is irresponsible. It's something she's been doing her whole career, and it's time for her to be held accountable, because it seems like she can just say whatever the hell she wants and nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares. She can incite all the violence that she wants. Nobody's censoring her, and nobody's taking down her videos. And that's how you know the Democrats and the media are full of horse shit. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.